Okay.
Okay, hi and good morning, everyone. So today we are going to discuss about the case number, the case study for the second time. So this case actually about the owner of Fortune Weddings, Anis, he realized that his business was not as profitable as it used to be in the early years. So he was suspicious of his employee Samira for the sudden change of her luxurious lifestyle, but he did not inquire about her as she was a hardworking employee and customers were fond with her friendly attitude. So Nisa, which is his wife, so received a message from customer to confirm the payment, but when she checked the bank account, so the money was not there. So they make a further investigation, and Nisa revealed that it was Samira who was stealing money from the company. So we just move to the first question, which is um, it want us to discuss about the major ethical issues such as management by trust and code of conduct as highlighted by this case. So in this case, there are two major ethical issues, which is management by trust and code of conduct. So I will start by the code of conduct first. I want to highlight that a well-written code of conduct will clarify an organization mission, values, and principles, linking them with standard of professional conduct. Written codes of conduct or ethics can become benchmark against which individuals and organization performance can be measured. Additionally, a code is a central guide and reference for employees to support day-to-day decision making. The code encourages discussion of ethics and compliance, empowering employees to handle ethical dilemmas they encounter in everyday work. So the issue in this fortune wedding, fortune wedding ni, they didn't have any code of conduct for their guideline for their employees. So it is such a difficult situation when there is a issue by made by Samira, which she used her personal account bank, which the customer uh, give the money and transfer the money in her personal bank account. So that's the ethical issue. But in this fortune wedding, they didn't have any code of conduct. So that give the ethical dilemma for Nisa and her husband Anis. So the second major issue is management by trust. So as we know in this case, they mentioned earlier in this case where the relationship between Anis and his employees were mostly based on trust, which means when their employees work with them, so they assume that their employee are responsible and can be trust, and they give faith with their employee 100%, in which mean by, well, as we know in this case, Samira is employee that worked with Fortune Wedding for past 3 years, which means that Samira has 3 year work with them, so it is like uh, impossible for her to do such unethical act. So the management of Fortune Wedding, Anis and Nisa, should not put faith on their employees without the clear guideline on the roles and responsibilities of each employer and department. Also mentioned in this case where Fortune Wedding does not have clear responsibility and guideline or roles in each their department. So it's the main problem, the major issues in this case study. So I would like to give this discussion to the other members to discuss on their opinion. So
Thank you, Shami. I'll continue the next. So, moving on, to explain Samira's behavior, we can use the ethical theories such as egoism, utilitarianism, deontology, and virtues theory. So, from that, my perspective or my opinion would be that we can explain Samira's behavior as the ontology theory. So, in moral philosophy, deontological ethics, or also known as the ontology, is the normative ethical theory that the morality of an action should be based on whether the action itself is right or wrong under a series of rules, rather than based on the consequences of the action itself. So, in the deontological ethics, as an action is considered morally good because of some characteristic of the action itself, not because of the product or the consequences of the action is good. So deontological ethics holds that at least some acts are morally obligatory regardless of the consequences of the human welfare. So descriptive of such ethics are expression as duty for duty's sake. Virtue is its own reward and lets justice be done through heaven's fall. So the ontological ethics is commonly concentrated in consequentialism, virtue ethics, and pragmatic ethics. In this terminology, I believe that action is more important than the consequences. For this situation, it is clearly stated that Samira actually cheated Anis and Nisa by collecting 10% of the wedding services for flower arrangement from Puan Ruhana, which is literally 50,000, by not informing the owner and transferred those money into the personal account, like how Shami explained. So from here, we can see that Samira's behavior was more towards the deontology ethics by breach of her duty or her responsibility, which caused the obligation and consequences and made her to become a traitor to Anis and Nisa. Can I give the floor to Fatin to continue the discussion?
Thank you. Okay, I would like to explain on. I and Fatiha will explain on the Samira's fraudulent behavior based on the fraud triangle concept. Let me brief you all a little bit about the fraud triangle. The fraud triangle developed by a well-known criminologist, Donald R. Crazy, and there are three elements of the fraud triangle, which are opportunity, pressure, or also known as incentive or motivation, and rationalization, known as justification or attitude. And all these three elements must be present for fraud to occur. Fatiha, would you like to start with the first element of the fraud triangle?
Yes, sure. So, an opportunity to commit the act must be present. So, in the case of fraud, usually a temporary situation arises when there is a chance to commit the act without a high chance of being caught. So, for this case, there is a weakness in the internal control of Fortune's weddings. Anis and Nisa, the CEO of the company, put too much trust on Samira and they did not monitor their employees. So Anis and Nisa also did not concern about their customer and they were reluctant to make any improvement or changes in their internal control system. So would you like to explain the next elements of the fraud triangle, Fatin?
Yes, Fatiha. Next component of the fraud triangle is pressure. It relates to an employee's mindset towards the committing fraud and personal situation that create a need for more money can sometimes put people under pressure. In this case, Samira was born into low-income family and was a single mother of three children. Apart from that, employees changing their lifestyles also become a pressure. Samira has personal incentive and wants to earn more money to support her family, and she is desperate in changing her lifestyle by purchasing new car, jewelry, and fashionable clothes. Okay, let's move to the last element of the fraud triangle.
So for the last one is rationalization. The meaning of rationalization is the mindset of a person about to commit an unethical act is one of the rationalization. The individual managed to justify what he or she is about to do. So some may think that they are just going to borrow the stolen goods or that they need the money more than the big company they are stealing from. So in this case, Samira had been committing an unethical behavior by asking for 10% of the payment made by her customer. She informed her customer to transfer the money to her personal account. So I think that's all Samira's fraudulent behavior based on the fraud triangle concept as presented in the case. So let's move to how the company can improve its internal control.
Yeah, thank you, Fatiha. When we talk about explain how the company can improve its internal control, the company can improve the internal control by implementing the segregation of duties policy which is established throughout the company. This is because in the organizational chart, fortunate vetting, clearly we can see that the segregation of duty are not stated well and there is no authorized person for every single department is in charge. For example, Samira's duty is to handle the customers by reaching out to them and collect payment, which is basically like a mediator between the customer and the organization. She is also responsible for preparing the accounts to record the transactions such as sales record and cash collected from customers. In this situation, Samira has more chances to cheat the company in terms of collecting payment or creating cooked up accounts. To avoid this problem, the organization need to segregate the duties by recruiting staff for each department such as accounts department staff and accounts receivable analysis. By this, the company can identify the each single transaction and the chances for the fraud to happen will be low. Moreover, the company needs to recruit an authorized person for each of the transaction. This is because authorized person will be responsible to approve each transaction and will observe and evaluate work done by the staff. This authorized person also need to report directly to the CEO or the manager, which is Anis or Nisa. So the company, if they follow this kind of internal control things, definitely the chances of fraud to occur will be too low. Yeah, now I've passed the floor to Kayin and Chunho and also Sydney to explain what could the possible solution for the situation, and if you're Anis, what's the action? Yeah, you may proceed now.
Yes, thank you, Pam. So, if I am Anis, would what I would give Samira a choice. This is because Samira worked 3 years with the company. She knows a lot of things regarding the company. I will have a discussion with her and ask the purpose why she did that. Company will not ask for compensation and give her a chance. Samira will realize that the company is very appreciative of her and she will be more loyal to the company compared to before.
So sorry, Kayem. I cannot agree with your point. What Miss Samira will appreciate her by giving her a charge? Can you still remember Nissan's friend encouraged Nissa hire Samira because she was a single mother and born in a poor family? Or at that time, she should appreciate that Nissa gave her opportunities to have a job in order to support her child. Let's say if now she steal money due to financial problems such as education fee or no nutrition, there could be a chance given to her. But now she even steal money and that money is no use for her child by using purchasing luxury products such as car or fashioning clothes. It shows that Samira is a greedy person and absorb the trust of her boss in order to satisfy her vanity. So if I'm Ants, I will lodge a police report.
Yes, you are right, Sunny. We cannot be morally kidnapped by the tragic breakout of Samira. Although she was a poor single mother, but stealing is a crime and is absolute false. Before they should have followed the Malaysia law to accept the punishment. In addition, Anis planned for market expansion in Kuala Lumpur at the end of 2015. Anis was afraid that the plan will be hold on when the company lost the money. For this, Anis should report to the police and get back the money for his business. After reporting to the police, it had given the customer an explanation about the misconduct to maintain the reputation of the company.
As mentioned in the case as well, there was a wedding planning staff who stole money from the company in 2011. Although the employee got fired, the employee managed to create another wedding business and pull some of the company's customer. Same goes to Samira, because she has enough experience for her to open a new company herself.
Don't worry, I think if Anne lodged the police, Samira will not have any opportunity to start her business in short period. Maybe she will be sent to prison at first since as a civil case. By the way, in 2011, the employee is being fired only. I mean, S does not have any take any action to the employee, so she can start new business by pulling some of Anne's customer. How about if enlarge the polish and sign the contract to Samira that Samira cannot involve in wedding career in certain period?
Sure, of course. Once Samira was charged by the police, she had taken time to face the lawsuit. Instead of the case come to light, her creativity will be shaded and no one will cooperate with her or patronize with her.
That's why I suggest lodging the police is not only a lesson to Samira but also an alert to other staff.
Okay, Sydney Chunhong, I agree with your point. Maybe there is time to give some lesson to her.
Okay, so our conclusion is Anne should be lodged to the police, right?
Yes.
Okay. So anyone want to add on something? If not, then our meeting will be end.
Alright. If anyone have to add some info or I have some a little bit additional info, so that how important the code of ethics and code of conduct, if there is code of ethics or code of conduct prepared by the Fortune Wedding, so that they can, like Sydney said, they can ban from entering the another wedding job for a certain period of time. So it is important for them to have a proper document, code of ethics and code of conduct, so that they can prevent this from happen again to them. Because in that case, they have also stated that they have the experience, right? Because one of their worker also uh, stole the money. So they can use the experience to implement the proper, well documented code of ethics and code of conduct. So if anyone want to add anything, or we can end our discussion about this case.
There's nothing for me to add on.
All right. So if there is no any additional information or discussion, further discussion, so we can end our discussion right now. Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.